Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC in a moment, but first, as usual, the disclaimers and the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be there in the description box. We have Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, literally where we get almost all of our material in regards to the JRC. We got Neuroclastic's article in there, the one where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Judge Rotenberg Center got so uptight about that article in particular, they did threaten Neuroclastic with a defamation lawsuit if they didn't get it off their website. They told the JRC where to go, so you know the whole deal, folks. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Of course, we've got their GoFundMe linked in there as well, because unlike the JRC, us poor advocates are poor and do not have access to unlimited funding and resources. Trigger warnings when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear the descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to utilize the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and watching, parental supervision is advised. Also, as explained in the last video, I'm suffering from a severe attack of allergies. Winter allergies suck, people, so you may hear a little bit of grovel in my voice here and there. I apologize in advance. So let's go back to where we were previously. On to the next paragraph. After SAS's local school district found itself unable to meet her substantial educational and behavioral needs in New York, SAS was admitted to JRC on March 7, 2005, at the age of 12. If you notice, there's always a pattern, right? What is the pattern for the poor kids that get sent off to this horrible place? It starts with the school district, right? They just will automatically come to this point where they decide, well, our special ed program is just not going to work here. And so begins all the interventions, right? I'm going to need someone to explain to me, like I'm 5, how podunk, ninth circle of hillbilly redneck hell, Missouri, especially redneck GOP hillbilly ninth circle of hell, southwest Missouri, were able to speak with my aunt and recommend which doctors to get me assessed by, and inform her that afterwards I needed to get a full functional behavioral assessment done so it can be used to help better place me in the proper treatment program. But Massachusetts, one of the bluest and so-called progressive states of the Union. When we talk about the school districts that get the most federal funding, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, that particular area gets the lion's share, right? So why are these so-called progressive schools, with all the luxuries, I sure as hell know that Miller, Mount Vernon, and hell, not even Rogersville had access to that kind of level of funding? can't seem to figure out who to properly recommend to these parents. How is it that they are so out of their depths, so lacking in knowledge and resources, to not know that you don't start by sending them to a residential school program before a full functional behavioral assessment has even been done yet? How the hell does my hillbilly hell know to do that? But New York doesn't. I need someone to explain this to me like I'm 5. Because you're shooting yourself in the foot when you do that. With places like New York, it's usually the school district that ends up ponying up the lion's share of that $265,000 a year for each student that gets sent to places like JRC. Okay? These aren't the poor backwater schools like I've gone to, where the most recently updated text for high school were books that were published back in 1975. Okay, we're talking state of the art, everything. And yet, somehow they don't seem to know how to best assist parents into navigating in regards to the service system. Somehow they don't know that it is a bad idea to go suggesting school residential programs before a full functional behavioral assessment is carried out, so that you'll be able to determine whether or not that is actually going to be a good fit for the kid. I'm sorry, but in this area, the school districts are dropping the ball here. Now, I'm not going to blame them for everything. The school's job is to get the ball rolling, recommend parents to the best diagnosticians, recommend them to get the full functional behavioral assessment. That's kind of where the beginning and the end of their involvement is, unless we're going to be dealing with more community-based services, in which case they would integrate that with the special ed program and everything within the school. Okay? You have no way of knowing if the place that is being recommended to you is even going to work or not. You know nothing about this place, nothing about that school. They get a brief couple-hour tour where everybody's it's like a used car salesman. You think he's gonna start off with everything that's wrong with the car before he starts trying to sell it to you? Yeah, exactly. They're not. They're gonna get you wanting that car first, so that when they get to the downsides, they've already got you excited enough that you're not even half listening at that point. Right? A simple 2-hour tour of the JRC is not going to give anyone a well-rounded idea in regards to what they actually do at that school and what they specialize in. Other than, trust me bro pseudoscience. The worst kind of pseudoscience there is. School districts, you have limited responsibility here. I will agree with you on that. especially if it's a situation that does require residential schooling. What is your responsibility is where you're dropping the ball, New York. You can't just kick the can down the road and expect it to work. Especially when you're dealing with a kid's treatment program as well as schooling. I know everybody hates it. Everybody wants to instant fix it. But you've got to slow down and you gotta put in the work. You gotta put in the work. For teachers, school districts, that would mean recommending these people to the proper professionals to get the diagnosis done, and recommending them to get a full functional behavioral assessment done first before anyone so much as suggests a single residential school program. Because if you don't even know what it is you're addressing yet. You have no idea if that school even specializes in where they're having the most issues at. And how could you? You have no information at hand that will help you better navigate the options in regards to residential school programs without that assessment being done. I know I harp on it all the time. But in this particular area, when it comes to the kids and the JRC, this is the area where it feels like just about everybody else except the parents and the kid are dropping the ball. Schools should know the limit of their responsibilities, but for what responsibilities they do have, they need to take them seriously, especially when it's going to be the district's money that's going to be paying for this. Which means not just saying go get your kid diagnosed, but afterwards also guiding them so that you can get that proper functional behavioral assessment done. Okay, that's number one. Number two, quit just blindly throwing money at residential school programs because you're at your wits' ends because this is beyond your expertise. Though not as great as the parent, you as a school district who is going to be paying for this need to be absolutely sure beyond the shadow of a doubt that that school is on the up and up and that there's not some bizarre, extremely monstrous and shady shit going on before you strong-arm their parents into sending them there. Recommend they take the proper steps so they can have the proper information at hand when it comes time to make decisions in regards to what program to get the kids started up with. Number two, don't just blindly throw money at a residential school program and shove that kid in that general direction and never do any kind of checkup, no digging, no background check, no nothing to make sure it's actually a place that is safe. The school district, whether they're in your actual school or not, it is your duty to make sure that that kid is going to be safe. That they are not going to be abused, starved, sleep deprived, made to have the very humiliating task of acting like a performing seal between each bite of food before shoving kids there. Okay? That's where school districts are really dropping the ball. Another thing, the diagnosis and clinicians, I need to know what crack are you all obviously smoking for you all to be dropping the ball so badly. We were told immediately. Right there. And the person who just completed my assessment's office, they wrote that note, made a phone call, and got me set up my regional office, the one that I was going to come to work for later, that I needed to have a full functional behavioral assessment done. And then conversations could begin as we kind of build up my circle of support and get it into the treatment programs. Why is it the folks that are diagnosing these kids are not setting up those same types of appointments to get that assessment done? You're supposed to be New York. This is not Springfield over here. It is not Springfield, Mo. You are New York City. You house some of the most well-respected psychologists and psychiatrists in the country, including those who specialize specifically with those of us who have developmental disabilities. Are you seriously going to tell me that at no point one of you all thought it might be a good idea for the parents to set up that appointment for that assessment to be done so that afterwards they can make a more informed decision in regards to what residential school program to send them to? Are you really going to tell me that? Because if you are, I'm going to start looking at so-called famous, well-decorated, many studies published doctors a whole hell of a lot differently. Okay? A lot of people are dropping the ball here. And Massachusetts, progressive. New York, progressive. Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, all these places, some of the most progressive blue states out there. My red state I hate with the entirety of my whole soul is beating you in regards to residential treatment programs and getting someone properly through a full functional behavioral assessment before making decisions in regards to any form of treatment program or education program. If nothing else, that should have you taking a long, quiet sit down where you start pondering life choices. We're going to go ahead and close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you all in a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.